baseball bat beatdowns, surprise nibbles, and an absolutely gutting Season 4 shocker. These Walking Dead deaths took all the fun out of the apocalypse. Up until his death, Hershel was the heart of The Walking Dead. A farmer by trade, he was a good Christian man who wanted to do right by his daughters, Beth and Maggie. While he was introduced in Season 2, it was during Seasons 3 and 4 that Hershel became the lifeblood of the show, a stalwart force and moral compass for the group. After Carl guns down a kid who's part of the governor's armed militia, Hershel informs Rick that something is seriously wrong with his son. That's just the kind of man Hershel was. He was the voice of reason, the man who helped keep the group from losing their humanity. Season 4 begins 3 months after the previous season's events. The governor has disappeared without a trace and is presumed dead. Little does the group know, he's busy rebuilding his dictatorship after befriending Tara and her sister Lily. When he reappears, he takes Michonne and Hershel hostage and heads to the prison, where he threatens to kill them unless Rick and company vacate the premises. When negotiation doesn't work, the governor gruesomely half-chops off Hershel's head. It's one of the show's most disturbing, emotional, and just plain devastating moments. We still haven't recovered. No! Noah wasn't long for this world. In Season 5, we first meet him in an Atlanta hospital, where he's essentially being held prisoner and forced to work. Police officer Dawn upholds the law with a forceful hand. When Beth arrives, Noah takes her under his wing and helps her acclimate to a new way of life. Because Dawn and her team allegedly saved her out on the road, Beth now owes them and must work off her debt. After Beth's death, Noah becomes a reason for the group to soldier on to his hometown in Virginia. Their journey leads to the revelation that Noah's entire family has been wiped out by unknown assailants. Now in the Washington, D.C. area, Rick and the group find themselves crossing paths with Aaron from the walled community of Alexandria. There, the group finds refuge from the outside world. However, things aren't as they seem. Most of the residents inside Alexandria's walls are not equipped to handle walkers. That becomes viscerally clear when, on a scavenging mission led by Nicholas, a small group that includes Glenn and Noah is overrun by walkers and becomes trapped inside revolving doors. Nicholas freaks out and forces his side of the doors open, which results in Noah being swept away into a horde of walkers. As Glenn watches, walkers rip Noah's face into a mangled mess. Just when you've warmed up to Noah, the show kills him off. Cheeky. The first innocent character to be killed is Sophia. In Season 2, the group searches around the highway and surrounding woods for Carol's daughter. As walkers march through the rubble, everyone hides out beneath abandoned cars. It seems to be a safe bet. That is until Sophia pokes her head out and a walker lurches toward her. She panics and scampers away into the woods. Rick quickly follows and instructs her to hide inside an uprooted tree until he can kill 2 walkers. Rick returns to find Sophia missing. From there, it's unclear what exactly happens to her. Only when the group eventually makes its way to Hershel's isolated farm do they learn she has been bitten and turned into a walker. Shane, being the hothead he is, storms the barn where Hershel keeps walkers captive and breaks the chains on the door. Walkers flood out and the group is forced to kill them. The very last walker to emerge is none other than Sophia. Everyone is gutted, frozen in time. Carol runs ahead and is only stopped when Daryl tackles her to the ground. A zombified Sophia stumbles forward, and it's Rick who must put her down. As the music swells, he raises his revolver and pulls the trigger. That's not a zombie tugging on your heartstrings, it's emotion. Beth didn't find her strength until Season 5. After being taken by Dawn in the previous season, she finds herself in an Atlanta hospital where she must work in a caste system. She has a few bruises and a broken wrist, but otherwise seems to be aware of her surroundings. She awakens to Dawn and Dr. Edwards entering her room. Dawn believes it is her obligation to wait out the apocalypse until help arrives. The hospital arc, as it's referred to by fans, culminates with Rick and the group discovering her location and taking 2 cops hostage. Over the radio, Rick negotiates a trade, the cops for 2 of their own, Beth and Carol. What should have been an easy exchange quickly goes awry when Dawn demands Noah stay behind.
The boy wants to go home, so you have no claim on him.
Well, then we don't have a deal.
A dejected Noah tries to keep the peace, taking a gun out of his waistband and handing it to Rick. He says he'll stay at the hospital. But when Beth marches forward to give Noah a goodbye hug, Dawn makes a snarky remark.
I knew you'd be back.
Feeling emboldened, Beth pulls out a pair of scissors and stabs Dawn in the shoulder. Dawn instinctively draws her pistol and shoots Beth in the head. It just might be the show's most shocking death, as it comes out of nowhere and leaves you flabbergasted and screaming at the TV. Negan lives in infamy. He may have redeemed himself in later seasons, but his barbaric ways will not be forgotten.
Gonna be pee-pee pants city here real soon.
His introduction, coming at the end of Season 6, leaves bloody scars on the group. After bludgeoning Abraham with a barbed wire-wrapped baseball bat named Lucille, Daryl delivers a 1-2 sucker punch to Negan's jaw. It's a reactionary move that provokes Negan to end another life, Glenn's. Glenn was there from the beginning, saving Rick when he was trapped inside an army tank in Atlanta. The two instantly bonded and relied on one another. They'd been through it all. From the CDC explosion to Garrett and his cannibals, there was nothing they couldn't conquer. Until Negan. Early in Season 6, there was a fake-out death involving Glenn. Although it seemed that Glenn was eaten alive, he slithered under a dumpster and lived to see another day. He was a cat with 9 lives, but unfortunately, his luck was about to run out. Glenn's death is not only an emotional gut punch, but it's also gory and bloody. From the beginning, Glenn was the heart of the group, and to see him go out this way was beyond upsetting. Regardless of how you feel about Lori, her death is like taking an anvil to the face. In Season 3, the group has turned an abandoned prison into a home. The outer lawn has been cleared of walkers, and there seems to be a glimmer of hope, until a former inmate, presumed dead, unleashes walkers through one of the gates. The surge forces Lori, Maggie, and Carl inside the prison, where they are trapped inside a utility room. Lori goes into labor, and Maggie must perform an emergency C-section using Carl's knife.
My baby has to survive. Please.
Lori's final moments are powerful. Each word she speaks carries weight. Lori's final monologue about doing what is right is among the show's best moments. She ends with a simple line.
Good night, love.
Maggie makes a deep incision and Lori slips away. It's a moment that reminds you of the real heart pumping at the core of The Walking Dead. This one's a double whammy. In one of the show's best episodes, The Grove, Carol, Tyrese, Judith, Mika, and Lizzie are wandering along the train tracks, heading for Terminus, a supposed sanctuary for all. In their path, they come across a secluded cabin in the woods. Right when things begin to settle, an unexpected development arises. Lizzie doesn't understand the dead. She believes them to be sick human beings she needs to help. While Tyrese and Carol are collecting water, Lizzie kills her sister to show them her version of the truth.
I need to show you. You'll see. You'll finally get it.
Carol concedes and promises Lizzie that she'll let Mika turn as a ploy to get the girl to hand over her gun. Lizzie heads inside with Tyrese and Judith, leaving Carol to break down in tears. Later, she determines that Lizzie can't be around other people and takes her out for a walk.
Are you mad at me?
Lizzie sniffles, turning to look at the flowers as a coping strategy to deal with her emotions. Carol steps back for a moment and pulls out a pistol. She tells Lizzie to keep looking at the flowers, and she fires a single shot into the back of Lizzie's head. It's a tragic end to a tragic situation, and one that twisted the knife for a lot of viewers. In the second half of Season 2, Rick, Glenn, and Hershel save a boy named Randall. He's part of another group, but because they don't know if he's a friend or an enemy, Shane suggests they hold him prisoner in a nearby shed. They weigh their options, acting as judge, jury, and executioner. Dale pleads with the group to listen to reason and give Randall a chance to prove himself, believing that if they kill him, they're no better than the walkers. The argument doesn't go his way, so while the others go through with the plan, Dale goes for a walk around the farm. That's when a walker leaps out of the darkness. Dale topples over, the walker climbing on top of him. Dale is disemboweled as his screams fill the night air. The group follows and finds a nearly dead Dale writhing in the grass. Rick is unable to put him out of his misery, so Daryl takes the revolver and says goodbye.
Sorry, brother.
In the aftermath of Carl's death, Henry was positioned as his replacement and Carol's new kid. In Season 9, Henry takes several leadership roles and begins an apprenticeship with Hilltop's blacksmith, Earl. He also engages in the usual coming-of-age teen antics, like drinking a little too much and getting arrested. Unlike Sophia, Lizzie, Mika, and Sam, Henry is strong, resilient, and able to face the apocalypse with gusto. The new big bad, Alpha, and her whisperers are a threat the group has never before faced. In The Calm Before, Carol and company underestimate what these villains are capable of. Alpha infiltrates the inaugural community-wide fair and later snatches up various residents, whom she beheads. She then puts their heads on pikes. The pikes line the border between her land and theirs, and it's a gruesome sight. Among the victims is Henry, and it's a tremendous blow to the group's morale. Carol reaches her breaking point. As Daryl cradles her in his arms, she crumbles to the ground. Just when she thought Henry was safe, he was ripped from her grasp. Carl should have made it to the end of the flagship series. Instead, he died a shocking death in Season 8. During the first half of the Savior War, he becomes the moral compass of the group and saves Sadiq, a resident doctor who was nearly bitten by walkers. Rick reprimands his son, believing no one can ever be trusted again. Still, it's Carl's humanity that keeps Rick from going off the deep end again. When the Saviors attack Alexandria, bombing buildings and residences, Carl takes it upon himself to lead the community underground into a series of tunnels. Michonne and Rick are on the front lines, and Carl's ability to lead shows great promise. That promise is cut tragically short as it's revealed that Carl was bitten the fateful day he saved Sadiq out in the woods. While dealing with a small group of walkers, he tumbles backward, and a walker's teeth dig into his side. Unfortunately, you can't amputate an abdomen. Rick and Michonne finally arrive to find Carl in a cold sweat and barely alive. It's a devastating moment. Having grown up in the apocalypse, Carl represented the future and how civilization could rise again. Put simply, Carl's absence leaves a gaping hole in the show's final bow.